Welcome to Movie Slice, quick fun recaps of your favorite movies. Sharp, funny, and to the point. Hit subscribe and get your perfect slice of cinema. The movie Almarhum begins with a witch performing frightening rituals, having buried a girl and a boy in a grave. To understand the story, we go back to 6 days earlier and see a man named Mole who is out shopping. After he finishes, he returns home, but on the way, the mayor stops him and asks him to teach them how he planted the rubber trees. Mule refuses and tells them he wants to go home because his daughter Noor is graduating today. He goes home and talks to his son Yanda, telling him to focus on his studies, but Yanda refuses, saying if he goes to university, who will take care of the farm? Mule tells him to go to university and become an officer, and that he would be very happy for him. Meanwhile, Mule visits his niece Jink, who tells him she fixed the water heater. He thanks her and goes inside. His wife speaks to him and asks him to let Yanda be, as he doesn't like to study. Mule insists that all his children should graduate, and that only Yanda is left, so he must study. His wife tells him to leave Yanda alone, that he will change his mind on his own. But Mule replies that nowadays, whoever doesn't have a degree is looked down upon. Suddenly Mule feels a pain in his chest, and his wife gets scared for him, tells him to remember God, and seats him down. She tells him to bathe in warm water at dawn, and he will feel better. At dawn, the wife gets up and starts waking the children. Mule goes to bathe in warm water and turns on the heater that Jink fixed, but the heater is leaking electricity into the water. When Mule enters the water, he is electrocuted and dies. He dies on a Tuesday, and in their culture, whoever dies on this day takes one of their relatives with them and brings misfortune to the house. Later, Noor returns from her graduation party and finds her father dead. She collapses, and her siblings Sisa and Yanda start crying over their father, recalling memories with him. It was the worst day of their lives. Then the priest comes and tells Sisa and Noor they must perform a protective ritual or break plates during the funeral because their father died on an ominous day. Within 6 days, one of them might be taken too. Sisa refuses, but Noor tries to convince him, saying they have nothing to lose. Sisa, being a doctor, doesn't believe in superstitions. At the funeral, the priest gives the plates to the wife, and also to Noor, but the wife gets tired and falls. Sisa comes, helps her, and prevents her from participating in the ritual. Yanda and Noor take over and break the plates. They reach the cemetery, and Sisa enters the grave and places the body inside, then starts praying inside the grave. They bury Mule, and at night, everyone gathers to read the Quran for Mule's soul. The wife feels someone calling her, so she searches around the house, collapses, and starts crying and screaming, saying, "Take me with you, don't leave me alone." Noor comes to her, calms her, and tells her to remember God, that her father is gone and won't return. She takes her to her room, but the wife tells her she feels him there. Noor stays with her until she falls asleep. After she sleeps, a picture falls, so Noor gets up and puts it back, then goes to her room. Suddenly she hears a sound outside. Her candle goes out, and Noor gets scared and quickly returns. The bathroom water turns on by itself, and Noor gets even more frightened. Suddenly Yanda comes out of the bathroom, and she feels relieved. She tells him their mother is devastated and feels her husband is still there. Yanda tells her she should have participated in the ritual with them, as it's not right to do it alone. At that moment, Jink enters and agrees with Yanda, saying the whole family should have participated. Sisa comes and says there is no such thing as an ominous day, and they are already grieving, so don't add to it. Yanda gets upset, leaves, and we see Mule's corpse behind Noor. The next day, Noor wakes up looking for her mother but can't find her in the house. When she goes outside, she sees her mother sleeping on the ground in the street, and at the same time, a truck comes speeding. Yanda arrives and saves her at the last moment. The priest witnesses what happened and tells Yanda that all of this is connected to his father's death. Noor covers her mother and notices she is cold. The mother tells her she wants to tell her some bad news, that she will die soon. She holds Jink and Noor's hands and says, "But I will take you with me." At night, Yanda tells his brother the mayor said this is all connected to their father's death, but Sisa doesn't believe it and says the mayor was always jealous of their father, so don't believe him. Yanda asks him to explain why their mother is shivering from the cold when her body temperature is normal. Sisa tells them he is now the head of the family, and they must listen to him. The next day, the 3rd day after the death, the mother's health improves. Sisa tells her he will return to the hospital at night because he has patients. The mother agrees and tells him his work is important. At night, the mother is praying, and we see Mule's corpse in the mirror. At the same time, the fan starts moving strangely. After the mother finishes praying, she gets up to turn off the fan, but it doesn't turn off. Suddenly she hears a sound coming from the door, goes to it, and the window opens. Mule's corpse appears in front of her. She gets scared and falls, and the fan falls directly onto her face, crushing it completely. Now we see Noor devastated by her mother's death, while Yanda meets the mayor, who gives him the witch's address and tells him to visit her because he is worried about Sisa since he didn't participate in the ritual. Yanda returns to his brother and tells him they must find a solution because this is not just an accident. Sisa says that in any case, death cannot be prevented. Noor interrupts and tells them her mother's body is still at home, and it's not the time to argue. Sisa leaves and we notice he is cold. Noor sleeps next to her mother's body, which is still at home because they're waiting for morning to bury her. When she wakes up, she sees her mother's head turned to the side and puts it back in place and covers her. Sisa is outside smoking when suddenly he sees his mother, who tells him she is lonely. At the same time, he sees his father too, and suddenly they both disappear. Sisa takes his bike and rushes home, takes his medication, and sleeps. The next day, they bury their mother. After they finish, Yanda tells Noor they must go to the witch because Sisa did not participate in the ritual with them, and maybe they can protect him if they go. The next day, they go to the witch, while Sisa stays home sleeping. Suddenly, he wakes up to a sound and sees his mother in the mirror, gets scared, and within seconds, she disappears. Sisa goes to his parents' room and searches but finds nothing. Then he sees Jink and asks her about Yanda. Jink tells him Yanda and Noor left at noon and haven't returned yet. She tells him she will prepare the post-funeral ceremony. At this time, Yanda and Noor arrive at the house in the forest, and before they knock, the owner comes out and asks them what brought them there. At the same time, Sisa bids farewell to the guests who attended the post-funeral ceremony and enters to ask Jink. The mayor keeps interfering in our family's business in a blatant way. She told him, yes, and Yanda started getting closer to him and believing him. Sisa here started acting as if the mayor was the cause of all the disasters and problems happening to them. Now, let's go back to Yanda and Noor and see the witch and the sorceress. She told them that people get busy with worldly matters and its titles and forget the only title they will ever be called by, which is the deceased, and that no one can escape death. At this time, Sisa was searching his room and all his things. He went under the bed and found something wrapped up. Inside it was dirt, but he didn't know what it was. He took a picture of it and sent it to Noor. Suddenly the window opened. Sisa went to the window, and when he turned, he saw his father's ghost. Within seconds, the ghost disappeared, but he saw his father in the farm. Sisa immediately went outside. There he saw his father, who told him, "Come with me." Sisa went to him right away. Now let's go back to Noor, who got a call from Jing. She told her that Sisa went out to the farm alone. Noor opened the chat and saw the picture that Sisa sent her. She took her brother and went straight to the house. At that time, Sisa entered a restricted and very dangerous area because of the wild boars there. There he could no longer see his father. Sisa started lighting a match to see, but suddenly he saw his mother's face, so he ran away quickly. Unfortunately, he fell into an animal trap. He tried to free himself, and despite the pain, Sisa managed to get out of the trap. At this time, the whole town started searching for Sisa. Sisa went out to the street, stopped a car, and asked for help. The driver agreed and took him. The truck took him to the clinic. Sisa entered the clinic but found no one, so he lay down on the stretcher. Suddenly he woke up and saw his mother moving him on the stretcher. Out of fear, he fainted. After a few seconds, he woke up and found himself in the morgue refrigerator. Suddenly all the corpses woke up and came at him. Sisa got scared, fell on the metal, and died. At this time, Noor and Yanda arrived in town. The mayor got a call from the clinic, and they told him that Sisa was there. He told Yanda and Noor to go to him quickly. Unfortunately, when they arrived, they found him dead. The doctor told them they found him lying in the clinic, dead from bleeding. The scene we saw in the morgue was just Sisa's imagination before he died. When they buried him, Noor and Yanda were devastated because within a week, they lost 3 family members. Yanda kept remembering his father's voice telling him to study. Yanda broke down crying. At night, he started blaming himself because he didn't have the right to save his brother. Noor hugged him and told him no one can escape death and that they would get through it. Then she told him to go sleep and rest. When he went inside, Noor started to feel cold, which meant that her turn was coming. Noor realized that her turn was near and she got scared. When she looked under the bed, she found the same thing Sisa found. Noor immediately went to Yanda and showed it to him. That same night, he took her to the witch and showed her what they found. The sorceress told them it was grave dirt and that it was a death spell. She continued and said there was only one way to stop it. She dug a hole, took blood from Yanda and Noor, then buried Noor and Yanda, leaving only their heads above ground. The sorceress started performing the ritual, saying, "Dad, death. Send someone to them, and that person will die today, repeating it over and over. At the same time, Noor and Yanda's uncle started to feel cold and saw his sister's ghost in the house. The windows opened, and he tried to close them, but suddenly things started flying everywhere. He fell, and the acid he was holding spilled on him and burned him, so the uncle died. At this time, Noor saw ghosts and got scared. She got out of the hole and ran into the forest. On the way, she was struck by lightning and fainted. Now let's go back to the beginning and see the uncle asking Mole to let his daughter Jing work as a maid in the house, in exchange for paying for her studies. Mole agreed, but as days went by, Mole didn't let her study. She complained to her father, and the uncle decided to take revenge by casting a spell on them. He gave Jing grave dirt and told her to put it in their rooms. She did, and was happy about their deaths. Now back to the present. Jing returned home and went to bring the horse inside, but the horse refused to enter. Suddenly the horse ran, and the rope tied around Jing's leg dragged her. The horse kept running until it reached a tree trunk that pierced Jing's chest, killing her. Now back to Noor, who woke up and found her brother waiting for her. They realized they had survived the curse forever and decided to live on their father's farm and avoid harm. At this moment, Yanda asked Noor, "Do you think we survived because we did the plate ritual or because of the sorceress's rituals?" Before we find out the answer, we see the mayor going to the sorceress's house, which means everything that happened was because of the mayor and the sorceress, who were partners in all of this. This is the end of the movie. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video. See